Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Pauline Bennett, filling in for Terry Stiles. In this week's news, stolen property from a golf course remains a mystery. A large Easter egg hunt is a success, and a barn fire damages antiques.
Stay tuned. Learn more about these stories and others. The Oxford News begins right now. Legacy 925 was forced to close last Wednesday when a natural gas line ruptured outside the building in Oxford Township. According to Fire Chief Pete Schultz, a worker using a power auger damaged an underground gas line. The 1.25 inch diameter line was located just outside the entrance to the Yo Club on the southeast side of the building. As a precautionary safety measure, everyone inside the building was evacuated, and the 30-plus businesses housed in this particular center were closed for the rest of the day.
The question of what to do in the village building continues to plague Oxford Village officials. During a special workshop, council debated the potential fate of the building that was built in 1967. Councilman Eric Dolan believes it's a prime piece of real estate in a very desirable community, and said if it were to be sold for redevelopment purposes, it would have to be for both the right price and the right development.
Sue Olds, owner of the Boulevard Boutique and Shabby Chic, is the newest member of the Oxford Downtown Development Authority. Last week, the Village Council voted 5-0 to appoint Olds to the DDA board. Olds has owned and operated the Boulevard Boutique, an upscale consignment shop, for 8 years. Prior to that, she was working as a sales director for Mary Kay Cosmetics for 30 years, where she helped women develop their own business plan.
22 signs marking pathways and holes were stolen from the Boulder Point Golf Club in Oxford on March 27th, sometime between 7:30 p.m. and 7:30 a.m. between March 28th. The bronze signs, which are painted green, were removed from the front of the various boulders found throughout the golf course. This is according to Oakland County Sheriff's report. The Sheriff's Office is asking residents who live near the golf course to check their home surveillance footage for any suspicious activity that could be related to the theft. Anyone who locates stolen items or has information about the theft is asked to call the Oxford Sheriff's Substation at 248-969-3077.
Well, Good Friday was not a good day for Oxford residents Jim and Liz Wilson. Their barn burned to the ground. At 10 a.m., Oxford firefighters were called to the barn of local architect Jim Wilson and his wife Liz, who is the pastor of Oxford Emmanuel Congregational United Church of Christ. Their grandson, Garrett, was the first to spot the flames and alerted the rest of the family. Fire Chief Pete Schultz said that when he arrived on the scene just east of Baldwin Road, nearly half of the barn was on fire. While there were no horses inside because the Wilsons no longer owned them, however, 4 chickens died in the blaze. In addition to the loss of the chickens, 2 vintage vehicles, a 1967 Dodge Coronet convertible and an antique tractor, were destroyed, and Wilson said decades worth of files and code books from his architectural firm were stored in the barn, and they, of course, were lost in the flames.
Last week, the Michigan Press Association announced the Oxford Leader newspaper is in the running for Newspaper of the Year in its circulation class. The winner will be announced during the MPA's annual awards dinner on Thursday, May 10th at the Kellogg Hotel and Convention Center in East Lansing. The Leader was founded in 1898 and owned by the Sherman family since 1955. The paper is one of the 3 finalists in the Weekly D circulation class. The Leader is up against the State Line Observer and the Boyne City Gazette. Congratulations to the Leader team.
Kids of all ages stormed the grassy fields of Seymour Lake Township Park last Saturday afternoon, collecting thousands of plastic eggs and ping pong balls dropped from a helicopter as part of the Easter Bunny Bonanza. The kids then traded their catch for goodie bags, which were put together by the Parks and Recreation crew and its volunteers. Over 200 tickets for the event were handed out for this year's program. Parks event director Lauren Smith claimed that this is another fun and successful bonanza for the park.
And that's Oxford News for this week. If you would like to learn more about these stories and others, pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper, or better yet, catch us on our website, occtv.org, and on your YouTube, and of course, your regular channels, Charter 191 or AT&T Channel 99.
Coming up soon, John Ochins with the school news and OCT's very own Cody Wright with Sports Report. And you won't want to miss Auto Talk and Science in the News with Dave Kenny.
I'm Pauline Bennett. Thanks for watching Oxford News This Week, where we bring your news closer to home.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, dramatically cutting the calories you consume may extend your life, and now we have an idea why. After more than a year on a calorie-restricted diet, resting metabolism seems to change. Calorie restriction has been shown to extend the lifespan of flies, mice, and even monkeys. Such findings have prompted some people to choose to eat between 15 to 18% fewer calories than the daily recommended limit in the hope that they will live longer. There is some evidence that such people have better blood cholesterol and glucose levels. Leanne Redman at the Pennington Biomedical Research Center in Louisiana and her colleagues assigned normal or calorie-restricted diets to 53 adults. For 2 years, 34 of these people ate 15% fewer calories than usual, while the others ate as much as they wanted. In the second year of the study, those eating fewer calories burned 10% less energy, their metabolic rate, during sleep, and had lower nighttime body temperatures. Blood samples revealed a 20% drop in damage to cells caused by the byproducts of metabolism known as cellular oxidative stress, which is thought to be a hallmark of aging. The body may adapt to fewer calories by lowering its resting metabolic rate as hibernating animals do. Redmond thinks the body adapts to low-calorie diets by lowering its resting metabolic rate. This may be an evolutionary mechanism to save energy when food is scarce, as is seen in animals that hibernate. Luigi Fontana at Washington University in Missouri says the slowing of metabolism may not be what increases longevity in lab animals. Changes in how cells sense the availability of food are likely to be more important, he says. Even if caloric restriction is found to extend human lives too, it isn't for everyone. Side effects can include loss of libido and feeling cold. On the other science front, the launch date for the James Webb Space Telescope, or JWST, has been delayed again. This comes after a series of delays and budget overruns. In a statement, NASA says they are now aiming to be ready to launch the Space Observatory in May of 2020, and that it may exceed its budget. As it surpasses its current $8.8 billion budget, the project will have to be reapproved by the U.S. Congress, says Thomas Zurbuchen of NASA's Science Mission Directorate. We want this to work well in orbit, so we cannot afford to take any shortcuts, he says. Since the project began in 1996, its scope has widened and its budget has ballooned from $0.5 billion to $8.8 billion. The recently passed U.S. spending bill included $533.7 million for the James Webb Telescope. That's the amount that they requested. By last year, the launch date had been pushed back to June of 2019. In February, a report from the U.S. Government Accountability Office suggested that the telescope's launch seems likely to be delayed again and exceed its budget. There were problems with the sun shield and thrusters, and little extra time built into schedule to fix them, even with teams of contractors working 24 hours a day. Acting NASA Administrator Robert Lightfoot said in a press conference on March 27th that these issues will require more money for testing, effectively pushing back the launch date. He confirmed that the leaks in the thrusters affect the spacecraft that will place JWST in orbit rather than the observatory itself. JWST is NASA's planned successor to the Hubble Space Telescope. Its mirror has a diameter of 21.3 feet, almost 3 times bigger than the Hubble's, which will be able to peer deeper into the early universe and capture data on the formation of the first stars and galaxies. The Space Telescope is planned to be an exoplanet hunter, allowing us to see the atmospheres of planets beyond our solar system and search for signs of life on other worlds. In our last story, existing treatments for male pattern baldness comes with downsides such as reduced sex drive. Now, researchers are seeing whether valproic acid used to prevent epileptic seizures could do better after anecdotal reports that some balding men regained their hair while taking it. Hyungul Young at Yonsei University in South Korea and his colleagues tested the drug on male mice whose fur had stopped growing. After shaving the animals, the researchers delivered the drug every day in microscopic needles that dissolve after being inserted. The mice grew back all their fur over the next 4 weeks. The team now hopes to show that this works in people and it can happen soon enough. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
I'm John Ochins, and welcome to the Oxford Wildcat School Update. You may recall a few days ago that Lakeville teacher Ryan Wasmund was named Oakland County Elementary Teacher of the Year. Well, there's more good news. Lakeville interventionist Jacqueline Savage has received a special honor. Lakeville Principal Christy Gibson Marshall made the announcement at the latest staff meeting.
So I have a special BOA for someone today, and I don't see her right now, but Jackie Savage. Jackie Savage was named the district's support staff member of the year, and we would like to congratulate you. So that's quite a year for us. We had the Teacher of the Year, we had the Oakland County Teacher of the Year, and now Jackie is being sent on to Oakland County to be considered for the support staff member of the year through Oakland County.
Jacqueline works in the areas of reading and social issues. These people provide a special service to our kids, helping teachers to give them the individual attention they need. And if you happen to be around Lakeville at around 7:50 in the morning, you may see some of our kids bringing violins through the front doors. That's where our elementary orchestra rehearses. Teacher Natalie Frakes is their director.
Our elementary orchestra program is for all of the elementary schools here in Oxford, and they all get shipped here in the morning, and then we ship them out to their respective elementary schools after class.
So the rehearsals are always here?
Always here at Lakeville Elementary,
So
yes.
their parents have to get them here?
Yep, it's a before school program that we have that filters into the middle school and then eventually up to the high school so that we can see these guys at the high school level, and then we send them home after class, yes, every day.
Now these kids are going to get on buses and they go from here to
Clear Lake, Leonard, yep, OES, and all over, yep.
I asked why this is so meaningful to her.
Their capacity for wanting to learn music and wanting to have fun while during doing so. I think every student that we have here has enough musical ability so that they can play a stringed instrument. These are the hardest instruments to play. They haven't changed in over 500 years, and it's really often very difficult to get a nice sound out of them, but they do such a fantastic job, and we have a really great time every morning. I love seeing them.
And these kids are in what grade? How old are these kids?
These are 4th and 5th grade beginner strings.
And there's more to this than music.
We talk about more than just learning music here in orchestra. Almost every week we review some of the things that we learn that have nothing to do with music, such as cooperation, teamwork, respecting each other, and collaboration. All these things we talk about in class. The other week we read a book called Ada's Violin about the trash orchestras of the students in Paraguay that don't have enough money to have nice instruments, and we talk about how there are people all over the world that really want to play music and they're making instruments out of trash, which is really interesting, and the kids love learning about that. And we have a beautiful book here that I read to them, and they really love learning about that type of thing.
More on schooling around. It was spring fair time over at Oxford Elementary. It's an important fundraiser for the PTO. Our Rachel Baker stopped by and had a chat with PTO President Melissa Williams.
Sure. So we're a 501c3 PTO, so we're able to ask for a lot of donations from local vendors as well as around the country. The PTO funds a lot of we help fund the field trips, the assemblies throughout the year. We provide a $250 stipend for each teacher, including the special teachers throughout the year. We also give money to the technology fund and help the principals pay for other things that come up during the year.
That's nice. And so this, I'm sure, contributes pretty well to it.
Yes, this is almost 30% of our entire budget for the year. We have class baskets that are auctioned off. We have regular items. We have some pretty great items this year. We have some Disney tickets. Disney donated. We have Matt Stafford signed a ball for us. We had Golden Tate sign a jersey for us. So over here we have the raffle items. There's things like lunch with the teacher where you can buy a raffle ticket for $1. So, and then we'll do a Facebook Live revealing of who the winners are the next day.
Rachel will share more about her day at the fair on Schooling Around. That's the Oxford School Update for this week. This is Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.
On Friday, it's Fish Day at the American Legion in Oxford. It runs from noon to 8, and we will have over 300 of our best friends enjoying our fish and our carryout. Sure, we have checked it out, and we have found that we have the best cod and walleye in Michigan. Want dessert? It's all homemade by our auxiliary ladies for just $1. For your vets, we have hats, just $5. On the bar side, here's some of our friends. Hi, everybody! On the museum side, some more friends. Hi again! Where you can check out one of the best military museums in the state. All Friday at the American Legion from noon to 8 at 130 East Drainer Road in Oxford.
Hello Wildcat fans, Cody Wright here, back again for yet another sports report. Like you might know, we have kicked off our spring sports season, and although it might not feel like it outside, these events are still running no matter what. So make your way out to these events, because as hard as it might be to believe, the season will fly by and summer will be in our laps. Anyhow, let's dive in and see what went on this week. First off, the boys varsity lacrosse team had a game on the road on the 27th against Notre Dame Prep. We usually do dominate when it comes to boys lacrosse, but we did struggle that day and fell to a final score of 12-9. On the 28th, we did return to home and take on L'Anse Creuse North at the field at Oxford Elementary. This was a great game to watch. We did make it out to cover it, and that was a great event. The playing on the field was great, close score, but Oxford came out on top at the end, 5-3. On the flip side, though, the girls lacrosse team took on Holly at home on the 27th. These girls are looking good, and it was a great way to get this season started as well. The final score by the end of the night was 20-4, but with our Lady Cats out front, things are looking good for Oxford lacrosse as a whole early on in this season, I would say. And last but certainly not least, the girls soccer club went on the road to Bloomfield Hills on the 26th. And although we had a good start, we didn't seem to get things done on the road this week. The JV team played first and fell to a final of 3-1. And varsity, who followed up that match, fell to a final of 4-0 as well. Like we said before, we can't win them all in reality, and the best thing to do is look at the positive. The season is young, a majority of our teams are playing well, and we have a lot of good sports to look forward to ahead of us. But that is going to do it for this week's report. A bit short, but we are waiting on boys baseball to really start, girls softball, tennis to pick things up, and of course track and field. For more info on these events and more, go to oxfordathletics.org. Plenty of game breakdowns, statistics, and schedules all right there for you to look at. Once again, that is oxfordathletics.org. While you're at it, might as well check us out at OCCTV.org. All of our coverage of the games, along with many more programs we put together for you, can all be found at OCCTV.org. Well, that's it for this week's report. I want to thank you all for watching and remind you to tune in next time. But until then, I'm Cody Wright, and go Wildcats.
On Schooling Around, we don't just school around. We get with everyone from the superintendent to the kids to find out what's new in Oxford schools. Schooling Around, only on OCTV.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. In our first story, Chevrolet is not giving up on passenger cars despite reported plans to axe the Sonic subcompact. General Motors' biggest brand is giving the Cruze, Malibu, and Spark facelifts, including a more aggressive split grille design for the 2019 model year. Chevrolet also upgraded the car's infotainment systems and realigned or added options. Powertrain options, aside from one transmission upgrade for the Malibu, remain unchanged. According to Steve Majoros, Chevrolet's marketing director for cars and crossovers, GM expects there to be about 4 million traditional passenger cars sold in the U.S. this year. That's pretty much in line with 2017 volume. Many of the changes to the trim options are to lower price versions of the cars, where Chevrolet believes most of the growth in the segments will occur. The 2019 Spark is expected to begin arriving in dealer showrooms in late summer, followed by the Malibu and Cruze in the fall. Pricing for the 2019 models will be announced at a later date. Chevrolet is offering a new RS trim package on 5 models of the 2019 Malibu, starting at about $25,000. It includes a black sport grille, black bow tie emblems, a rear spoiler, 18-inch machined wheels, and dual outlet exhaust. The interior features a leather-wrapped steering wheel and shifter and black cloth seats. Other additions to the midsize sedan include standard 8-inch touchscreen on all models and a CVT transmission, which replaces a 6-speed automatic on all models with the 1.5-liter turbocharged engine. Similar to the Malibu, the 2019 Cruze's front fascia was freshened, and the company added a 7-inch touchscreen as standard equipment. Other changes include remote start and automatic climate control, standard on LT and Premier models, and dual-element tail lamps with LED accent lighting on premium models, among other options. The 2019 Spark's front fascia is a bit less aggressive than the Cruze and Malibu, as it features a large plastic bumper in the middle of the lower grille. Aside from the exterior tweaks and available low-speed forward automatic braking, little changes are expected in the segment leading minicar for 2019. And at Acura, the 2019 Acura RDX infotainment hub is commanded by a new touchpad technology that the company says will make controls more intuitive and easier to use while driving. The true touchpad interface, shown in the RDX 2 weeks ago at the New York Auto Show, uses absolute positioning, so when the user wants to access a function on the top left of the screen, for instance, they tap the top left portion of the touchpad to highlight it. Acura says this is the first time absolute positioning has been deployed in the driving environment. Acura said that this interface doesn't require people to locate a cursor on the screen while navigating the touchpad. The touchpad has a slightly concave shape to give users tactile feedback, a spokesman said, and make it easier to find the pad's center. Along with Acura's push-button gear shift arrangement, the touchpad creates an unconventional layout for the center stack and console. The touchpad-operated screen is set higher than a typical touchscreen would be. We needed the screen high and forward in your natural line of sight, a spokesman said during a demonstration. A touchscreen, while intuitive, requires the screen to be lower in the center of the stack so the driver can reach it. The screen has two sections, a main zone in the middle and a smaller secondary area on the side, so users can view features such as music and navigation at the same time. And on the recall front, Tesla is voluntarily recalling Model S sedans built around, or before, that is, April 2016, in order to replace bolts in the power steering component. Tesla, on March 29th, said there was no accidents or injuries related to the issue, and the recall was undertaken out of an abundance of caution. The bolts, made by a German supplier, Bosch, can begin to corrode after contacting cold temperatures with road salt. Some Tesla owners had complained about the issue on online forums. Some 123,000 Model S vehicles globally contain the bolts, Tesla said. We have observed excessive corrosion in the power steering bolts, though only in very cold climates, particularly those that frequently use calcium or magnesium road salts rather than the regular sodium chloride or table salt, Tesla wrote in an email to customers. Were the bolts to fail, the driver would still be able to steer the car but would need to use more force due to a loss of reduction in power assist, Tesla wrote. A retrofit in Tesla service centers should take about an hour, Tesla said. Well, that's all for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television. Well, that's all for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.